Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north, and we're going to do a grand tour of the greenhouse for January. It's about mid-January now. The last tour was the beginning of December, so it's about 6 weeks since. So let's see what's changed. So let's jump right in. Okay, so we're back. I thought I'd start with the understory. First of all, Pelargonium. Now this was the Pelargonium that I repotted. I pruned all the roots down for it, and as you can see, it seems to be very, very happy. The buds have broken and there's a few little bits that won't pulling off it, but I'm just keeping it, giving it a little trickle every so often just to make sure it doesn't dry out. You can tell actually with the leaves when they do begin to get a little bit floppy. You don't leave it too long. They are pretty good though, Pelargoniums. They don't completely flop. They do tend to last quite a while on the dry side, and definitely this time of year they need to be kept on the dry side. But it's loving the Mars Hydro light, and it's going to be fine this year, because last year what happened was it just got way too big, and as I read subsequently, the larger the Pelargonium, then the less it flowers. It just gets lots and lots of leaves, so you better keeping it nice and small and compact. And I may actually take some more leaves off this at some point just to kind of slow it down a little bit. So that's Pelargonium. The Dendrobium Kingianum. Now this one was repotted October 19, and it's almost filled the pot again with roots, but I've been keeping it on the dry side. You see a bit of condensation in there as it's in the middle of winter, but I don't know if you saw the last video where I was a little bit concerned as to why it hadn't flowered, because I've had it nearly 2 years now. But now you can see very definitely, zoom you in there, that these are little flower buds here, which I'm very excited about. I've never actually seen one in flower. I believe in some areas of the world they grow like weeds, but you know what they say, one man's weed is another man's prized flower. Well, maybe they don't say that, I just say it. So moving on up to the streps, I repotted my streps into these lovely shiny plastic pots. We're doing this really odd thing where, I don't know if you can see, some of them, they're nice and green, and then it's just like as if they've suddenly decided, well, we don't want the end bit of the plant, or the end bit of the leaves, and they're just going to kind of drop them off. I know they do shed leaves naturally, but this kind of two-tone effect, it's a bit bizarre, and it's happening on a number of the plants. Well, I'll keep my eye on it. It's never happened to me before, but I've only had them a couple of years, so let's see. They're looking a lot better anyway now that I've repotted them. Still on the understory here, a couple of new streps that I took leaf cuttings from. Totally the wrong time of year, but it worked. Probably about 30%, maybe even less than that actually, success rate. But it doesn't matter. They're only leaves. They were going to go in the bin anyway. Now here's one you've not seen before. I don't show this because, to be honest, I'm not really that thrilled with it. This is Pleurothallis Restrepioides. Try saying that after a glass of red. Repotted it October 19, and when I repotted it again, the usual theme, it had no roots, completely rotted, despite the fact that I never water it, very rarely water it. I've filled it with more of an open mix because it had like not really a bark mix. It did have bark in it, but it was almost like a fine compost. Just destroying the mat here. Right, just excuse me a sec. But more observant of you will have noticed that it's in spike. It did look very, very bad when I first got it. It was in a right state. It was another one of these Orchid Society auction deals that somebody else bought me for me on my behalf. It's full of cakeys. It's looking a lot better condition than it did do. A few new leaves on it, lots of kind of roots dangling. It's just a weird thing, really. I'll wait and see what the flowers look like again. They weren't too bad last year, but they're nothing to kind of give you a wow factor. It's just more of a curiosity, really, I think. So yeah, Pleurothallis Restrepioides, which I'm not that thrilled with. That's why it's languishing here underneath the bench. Still on the understory, we've got this lovely fern. This is an asparagus fern, nothing to do with the asparagus that you eat. Good for kind of dangling over things and giving a nice green effect. Again, not very exciting, but a little tiny Sundew, which I thought had given up the ghost until I looked it up and found out that they do actually die down over winter, and you can see it's just beginning to come back again. Trust me, we're getting to some better stuff. Brugmansia, it's just about hanging on in there with these leaves, although I don't think they'll last long. But you can see there, look at all that new growth coming there. So it's not dead. I've not rotted it. I've moved the stones away there at the bottom just so I can see what the compost's looking like and whether it's looking dry or not. I've been giving it a very small bit of water when it looks really dry. So I'm hoping next year that will do something for me. Let's keep it down below for now. Try and build up the anticipation. We have things resting there, and the dahlia, you can see there, is already beginning to shoot. It's a little bit early because we're in January yet. I lost my Plumeria seeds, unfortunately. They just didn't. They all came up, and then I kind of run out of daylight, I think, is what happened, and the temperatures as well, which went really low. So I'm just keeping them there just in case they come back, but I don't think they will. Little fern down there, and then we'll move up to something a little bit more exciting. We've got Dendrobium Cuthbertsonii. Not bloomed for me yet, but again, another one overwatered. I know they supposedly like the wet, but not to the extent that they rot the roots. I keep a really close eye on it. This label tells me when it's beginning to dry out, and every time I pick this label up recently, it's always wet, because of course the greenhouse is not getting above 12 degrees. That's the maximum it's getting to. But I think you can see it's got new growth on it. It looks perfectly healthy now, so I'm not worried about that. Over here we have Masdevallia Snowbird, couldn't remember then. It's still in its original potting media. I think, well, why mess about with it? It's in flower, it's in bloom, look. And I didn't realise some of these can get like 2 blooms on one spike. I've had a few on this plant, and they just keep popping up. I keep thinking it's finished because I do want to repot it eventually, and then it sends another one up. I do like the snowbird one. Again, I just keep it moist, keep giving it some every so often, but it doesn't seem to be that fussy. It's really strange, actually. Some people talk about how difficult they are, but for me it's not fussy at all, because over here we've got Masedevallia Ignea, and as you can see, this is probably its third maybe fourth blooming since I got it. You can see the spikes on there, and if you do kind of zoom in, you can see there's new leaves, there's lots of new spikes coming in different places. If you know what you're looking for there, I'd point them if I wasn't holding it. Point at them. So that was repotted October 18, not touched it since. Again, just give it a little bit of water every so often. It's about as bright as it gets in this greenhouse. It's right underneath the lights. It doesn't seem to mind that, seems to be quite happy with that. It's been in the lights for about 6 weeks now. Like I say, it's not, for me, it's not a difficult plant to grow. I think it's not my particular superb cultural knowledge, it's just that the microclimate of my greenhouse tends to lend itself towards what it likes, I guess. This Pelargonium's not looking too happy. I've just moved it here. I watered it because it looked like it was wilting, as you can see, but it's remained wilted, which tells me that there's something else not quite right. The media isn't soaking wet. It's in a clay pot, so it should kind of wick that away anyway. I'm wondering whether there's some little beastie inside. There's something going on. It may be worth, in fact, I'm going to remove it from there because I don't want them to hatch and go somewhere else. I'm going to have a look at that at some point. It shouldn't be like that. All my others aren't like that. Where else? We've finished with our twinkle. That's next for mounting, so I'm going to move that over to the to be dealt with area. Twinkle was gorgeous, really love that twinkle. I'm going to get some more of those at some point. My young Plumeria here, it lost one leaf. I guess it's going to lose these, but you can just about make out there's a new leaf coming. I'll see if I can zoom in. I'm not sure how to zoom with this app. You can just kind of see it poking up there. The Cephalotus still looking great. Now, probably middle of springtime last year, this only had leaves on it and nothing else, and I was really worried it wasn't going to get any pictures. But as you can see, it's full of gorgeous pictures now. And if you do get to look inside them without pulling a lid off, they have got little tiny flies in them and bugs, so it's doing a good job for me, as well as looking great. Another Sundew down there, again another one that looked like it had given up the ghost, but you can just see in the middle new growth beginning to come. Oncidium Sweet Sugar, looking fab. I saw one at the last Orchid show, Society show, and mine looked better. Should have taken it, shouldn't I? I keep avoiding taking these things because I always think somebody will have a much better version. That's going to be repotted when it's finished, because I did get I've got another bulb from it that I took off when I first bought it, which is, I wonder if it tells me. No, I can't get it out, it's too tight in there. Again, it's quite a while back, it's well over 12 months ago, probably nearly 2 years now, and I wasn't really I wasn't at all very keyed up on how these plants grow, and I took some of the bulbs off thinking it was a good thing and planted them in another pot, and now I've just got two separate ones, which is no good, so I'm going to put them back together again. My Miltoniopsis over here is still hanging on in there. These growths are coming, they're still quite concertinaed, but I think the new bits at the bottom are not, so we seem to have rescued it, I think, otherwise by now it would have been showing some signs of distress. It is kept reasonably wet, but I try and let it dry a little bit to find balance, isn't it, because it did rot the roots even though they're supposedly wet. So there, let's have a look. Miltonia Spectabilis that you saw me repot. Again, my knowledge at that point was quite thin on the ground, and I didn't really grasp the idea of this creeping rhizome, so really the circular pots aren't that good for that kind of thing, but it's alright, it's coming. It's got some new ones there. All those really horrible yellowy leaves have gone, and we've got these much thicker dark green growths looking good. So after these have finished flowering this year, I'll look for something more suitable than these circular pots. A few more streps moving up again, all looking nice and full of leaf. The Ceolgyne Cristata, lots of plump new growth on it, nice new leaves, no sign of flowers. Keep my eye on that. So let's just whiz you around here to the main event. So what have we got? A few more of the streps, which I'm definitely going to buy some more. They've got some great deals on at where would it be? Where would you get them from? It's not Burnham's, is it? Burnham's is the orchid place? I can't remember. There is a place that really specialises in streps. I think it's in Wales, and they do really reasonable bunch of varied plug plants. So I'm going to get some of those, so to try and increase the variety. I've got some really gorgeous ones. I remember discussing this hibiscus and talking about the chlorotic look of the leaves. We went to Chester Zoo on Christmas Eve. That's our tradition. Have a look around the zoo. And I'm actually more interested in the plants because they have really, really good displays of plants. They have a butterfly house, and they have like a tropical house, slightly larger than my greenhouse. No, actually much, much larger than my greenhouse. And of course they have tropical plants growing in it. And the hibiscus that they've got are, 5-6 feet tall, and all the new growth on the hibiscus in their tropical greenhouses looked exactly like that. So they clearly weren't, there was nothing wrong with them. That's just the way the new growth seems to be. And maybe it's the light, maybe even in their tropical greenhouses they're lacking a little bit of light, but it certainly didn't seem to trouble the plant much. This one over here is Encyclia Radiata. It does lots of growth for me, not a great deal in the flowering. It did flower last year. I think it had a bit of scale on it. I'm hoping that this pseudobulb here will flower this year. It's got a new leaf coming in the middle, and that one on the left there's already flowered. But it's healthy anyway. I think it will come. This was the orange no ID Cattleya. I didn't repot this because it's got this new leaf on it here. These two I don't think are going to do anything, way too small. I'll wait and see if this does something, and whether it does or it doesn't. After that I will then repot it. Moving along, as you can see, my Plumeria has no more leaves. However, what it does have are lots and lots of new ones just coming there, and over there. So far I haven't rotted it. I give it a little bit of water occasionally, but I'm holding off as long as I possibly can. Still in bloom. I mean, can you believe it? That's been in bloom for months. The Oncidium Sharry baby, still looking fantastic, still smelling of pretty much nothing, which is such a shame. However, as you can see, great display. And again, if I'd have thought, I could have really taken it to the Orchid Society show, but well, who needs a certificate anyway? This one is Ava. I've never seen anybody have this. Ava Aurantiaca variety Punctata. Cold to intermediate. Puts plenty of growth on. This is the best it's looked actually. Again, it was another one with scale on it. Moving along. Hopefully this will flower this year. This is my Epidendrum Comet Valley Orange Star. I repotted it in March 2019 and it had not one root left on it. And since then it's absolutely bursting with roots and lots of new growth. And at about the height I would expect to start seeing some flower buds on the top very soon. Still moving along. Cambria in the corner. Had some lovely flowers. Nice new growth there. Cambria, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Cambria just kind of means a mixture, random mixture of orchids, just all kind of bred together. And I know they're a bit common, lots of them about, but they do have some gorgeous flowers on them. Burrageara, Nelley, still in bloom, probably 6 months worth of blooms by now. Eds from Ed, Phragmipedium Ainsworthii. We got that in November 2019. Can't really detect much change on it. I think that leaf's grown a little bit. And that was another one down there. Well, they are slow things, aren't they? I'm giving this one a bit of a rest. This is Dendrobium Thailand Black. Thailand, is that right? Let's just have a quick look. Sa-Nook Thailand Black. I'm waiting to see some new growth on that yet. I've not seen anything on it. Oh. Aha! There is a new growth.
Ooh! Ah!
There it is. That's new to me. Moving along. What else have we got? That's Oncidium Sotoanum. Again, it's only just finished flowering. I think we've got, this is the new one here. So that should begin to do something again. I've not repotted that yet. That's something that I should do, I think, at some point. A couple of cyclamens still going strong. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Berry Oda, couldn't remember. The Berry Oda. I'm getting some nice fragrance off it. Dawn and dusk. Try and show it low down. Always worth a close up. And behind that we have the No ID Cattleya. I've done the 2 videos on to repot. I'm just spraying underneath the leaves because apparently that's where the stomata are, but they're closed during the day. So really how much use it is, I don't know, but it's worth a try. It's only a bit of water, isn't it? Just to try and stop it from drying out. Well, these pseudo bulbs, you know, this is what they're for. They are for storage of water. And, you know, it had no roots when it was in bloom. They were all dead. So it's not really any different to when I bought it. I think the little eyes down below, they're on this side, where I've left some space. I think they're a little bit more pronounced than they were the last time I saw them. But it might just be wishful thinking, so we'll still hold out on that. This Dendrobium nobile star class is going to do its thing very soon. It's got some blooms. It never actually stops blooming. There's always one of these canes doing something. It doesn't seem to have like a season. They just keep coming all the time. Those two look like they're going to blast. I did have some on it a couple of weeks back, but they blasted just because it had a little bit of mealybug on it, which I've sprayed, so that's the end of them. So I'm just going to pause the video. You might not notice because I'm running out of battery on my phone. So I'll give it a charge up and then I'll come and continue with the tour. Okay, we're back and we're moving along, so let's have a look at this is what they should actually look like, Pelargoniums, so they shouldn't be all floppy like that other one. So I'll definitely have to have a look in there. Oh, the light's just gone off. Just pause while I switch it back on again. Okay, so Nepenthes fusca, looking good still. I know you've got to zoom in on it, but if you're into carnivorous plants, that is a lovely thing. It's certainly not suffering from the winter, so I think that's its newest picture down there. I'm hoping to see a leaf jump on that soon. This is my Rhinanthera citrina cross monachica. Again, sending a shoot up, a root up there. It's fine. It did lose one leaf, but it seems to be okay. So this is, if my research is correct, monopodial, a monopodial orchid. So it doesn't have a pseudo bulb or a storage organ. It just grows in the middle of the pot from its roots in a single stem, and the leaves are either side of that stem. Over here, this is the Burrageara. It's ready for a water. It's quite dry. A new leaf coming up in the middle, and a new shoot there. Looks like another bulb. It's kind of creeping away from the pot there, so I think that's going to need repotting and moving down so that these roots are actually in some media. That's not bloomed for me yet. Sadly, this Rhynchostylis celestis alba looks like it's not happy. It did have a new leaf coming in the middle, but it's losing a lot of these leaves. So we're going to have to do something with that. It could just be the cooler weather. The Pinguiculatina, doing okay. Nice new rosette in the middle there. A couple of blooms on it. The Brassia, let me just grab the label. Another Orange Delight. Anything orange seems to be called Orange Delight. So that's been in bloom for at least 2 months. Just doesn't seem to do. Well, the downside of it is, of course, that it takes absolutely ages for the spike to come. But when it comes, it looks spectacular. Nepenthes ventricosa, big leaf jump. Really pleased with that. I'm hoping that's going to really start taking off this year. A little basil shoot there. A cute little tiny picture in the middle there. The Nepenthes ventrata, not really done anything yet. Again, it's still early days. These are supposedly quite vigorous. So hopefully now that the nights are getting shorter and the days are getting longer, that will begin to do something. No ID foul, lots of very red leaves, but it's got a new spike there. No ID Cattleya. Whoops, hope I don't knock everything off. Nice new shoot there, loads and loads of roots. Probably due another repot at some point. The Neostylis loose nary blue, which is white, not blue. That flowered beautifully, smelled absolutely gorgeous, and it's just chucking out roots now. Bougainvillea in the corner. Since I got the light and I discovered how to water it properly, we now have a couple of blooms or bracts at the top there. I know it's not a very spectacular display, but it is a display, and it's a Bougainvillea and it's in the north of England, so I'm really pleased with that. And of course it's in the middle of January, so hopefully when spring, summertime comes, that will really take off, because it's put all that growth on. Just take you right down, all that growth from about, I'll tell you exactly how long. From, when did I get rabbit? When did I get it? Oh, I've not written it on. Flippity-doo-dah. Bougainvillea brasiliensis. I hate it when that happens. I think it was probably about October, actually. I may be wrong. I'm useless with dates. So let us move around. We very rarely go up here. I always forget about these. So this is my one and only Vanda. It has got a name, actually. Vanda has a hybrid. Prapathom Gold. Now, I've had that quite a while, a couple of years, never flowered. It's actually looking quite dehydrated. I best get that in some water on site. Everything's due water today. I think with the heater being on over there, the heat's kind of going upwards and it's drying everything out. And I'm thinking things don't really need much of a water because it's so wet outside. But things are definitely due a good soaking. Over to my Mandevilla or Diplodonia sanderi cuttings. You can see some new little leaves there, so that's good news. That one is the same as, try and swizz you around, Tradescantia minima. And I've hung this up now. We've got some gorgeous colours on it. And I like the underneath. I think it's really handy. And while we're looking at the hanging ones, okay, so my Hoya Crimson Queen, Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen, still waiting for some blooms on that, just dangling away. My Tradescantia, which one's this one called? Can't remember. Something purple. Red Jewel. Tradescantia Red Jewel. Looking good in the corner there. And then moving down, we have prayer plant over there. I had one amaryllis there, another amaryllis over here. They were still in full leaf. They've been in leaf. I just left them. But something that Rachel said on her channel about forcing them into dormancy, because because my temperatures are probably too warm at 12 degrees and they need a cool off period. So I thought, right, well, I'll cut the leaves off and see if we can get them to bloom at some point. A couple of pelargoniums, some more Tradescantia cuttings. That one is Tradescantia fluminensis Maiden's Blush. There. And they're all three of them coming on nicely. That's the other sweet sugar I was talking about. I'm going to join that up to the other one. This is my false papyrus plant. That's doing great. I just bought that as a curiosity, really. I thought it'd be nice to have something ancient of ancient Egypt. These were keikis from my Dendrobium nobilis star class that I took in, when did I first take them? It's a while, since March 2018, and they are now going to bloom as well, so that should be nice. Some more cuttings from another Tradescantia. This one is Zebrina, so they'll all be put in their own pots soon. I'm just experimenting because they've got this like long leafless stalk. I've just pinched out the tip of this one just to see if it'll produce them lower down. It seems to be producing one there. Whether I could get one any lower down or not. These are having a rest. These two Dendrobiums. This one is the what is it called? Stardust Firebird. That was gorgeous when that was out. And strangely, I've got again the nubbins for new blooms on that one cane, which is coming off another one. So it's like kind of like a keiki, but without any roots. But the newer canes that should grow normally at the side here, as of yet, don't have any budding nubbins on them. This one that I did a video on, this Dendrobium nobile, just like a no ID one that you got from B&Q. Again, it's flowering again, or it's going to flower again. I thought that was it for the year, but this cane looks like it's going to have a few, and that one looks like it's going to have a couple. I'm saying I'm keeping them dry. I watered them about a month ago and they're still wet. So whether you call that a dry or winter rest, dry as in I'm not watering them, but they're just not using it up. So Tradescantia up here. This green one grows like nobody's business, and I know it's not as nice as the others, but it's nice bit of greenery, and it's drying out very, very quickly at this time of year. Up towards my what's that? I should know, I've only just made a video on it. Bulbophyllum, Elizabethan Buckleberry. There are two, I didn't show you this one. This other one is the other Bulbophyllum. It's the same one, Elizabethan Buckleberry, that I took off the original one, and you see how much plumper those bulbs are. So I've actually stuck a little bit more moss on there. Again, they're ready for a water. Fowl in full bloom. I know they're not really that keen on these cooler temperatures in the greenhouse, but still looking good. And over in the corner, still flowering, Diplodenia sanderi. It's not as much, there's not so many left on it, but it's still got some flowers on, which is great for January. My Nepenthes Rebecca Soper. Still got the same two pictures on it. It's going up. And I'm hoping some of these get pictures on. I keep spraying them to try and get some. Another one of those over there on the right. A few ferns. Nothing a great deal to talk about here. Spotty dotty begonias beginning to lose a few leaves, but yeah, it's coming up with new ones, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I think it's just, again, cooler temperatures. Going up into the rafters. Nepenthes Burkii. Took some great photos of this. This is looking really nice, and again, I'm hoping these begin to show these new leaves, get new pictures on them, so I'm giving them a spray. Again, they do kind of dry out very quickly up there because it's just underneath the heater. And this one is the Nepenthes Gaea. Okay, I've not much battery left, so I'll have to be quick. Looking promising for that one there, so I'm hoping that develops into a new picture. And over here we have the Oh, I forgot what it's called. Ceolgyne Speciosa. Where that's dying off. But there's another one. Oh, another one about to open. So that needs a water too. So that was a very quick tour for January, as quick as I could manage. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe, and if you didn't, don't. And I will see you on the next one. Bye! I'll just tag this on the end. This was my new purchase, my Laelia anceps. And even though the roots don't look to be doing much, as you can see, it's about to open all its blooms. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous flower. Really impressed with that. So hopefully it will begin to do something very soon and show some new signs of life down at the bottom there. And I think, just looking at that, I think I've probably buried the rhizome a little bit too much. So I might have to have a little maul about with that. So I'll just sort of tag that on the end while it's so nice. So that's Laelia anceps. See you on the next one.